Hello, my name is Aaron James, and I'm going to talk about today the state of Michigan's roads and how I feel that tollways are the answer. As you are aware, if you lived in Michigan any amount of time, you know that there's an issue with our roads. And in this presentation, I'm going to talk about why I feel that toll roads are a better solution than the ways we've been going about handling our infrastructure thus far. So let's get into this. All right, so Michigan's current state of roads. So, as I said, you know that Michigan's been known for having bad roads. If you spent any amount of time in the state, it's not that hard to figure that out. I mean, in this picture to the right, this is the Michigan state line. There's already potholes there waiting for you. So, you know, the next point I want to make is here. It talks about how Michigan's just known for having harsh winters, so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how there are no toll roads in the state of Michigan, except at the Mackinac Bridge and the border in Detroit. Basically, the border is that border Canada. There's tolls there. Other than that, there aren't any toll roads. Michigan has the highest car insurance in the nation. I'm going to talk about why. We're going to talk about why there's poor materials being used in construction. There's been some cases within the state where some poor materials were used. So we're going to talk about that. And we're going to also talk about how the roads are dated and behind the times compared to other states in the nation. So how bad are Michigan's roads? So yes, plywood is actually being used in beams. I don't know if you've driven around the state and seen plywood underneath bridges, but I have. In Grand Rapids, on my morning commute, there's actually a highway called I-196 that I have to drive underneath. And if you look up, you can clearly see that there's plywood lodged between the beams. And they do this in Michigan to keep the concrete from falling down underneath the bridge onto people as the concrete's deteriorated. So a temporary solution that they do is they literally shove plywood up into within the gaps of the beams of bridges. The bridges we drive on in our state. The next point that I'm going to talk about is how there's concrete from the 1960s still being used in Grand Rapids on US 131 and other freeways I've seen. Another thing that's going on in our state is rusty beams are just being painted over. They're actually not replacing the beams, they're just painting over them. And amongst all the states in the United States, Michigan spends least per capita per person on roads. So $174 a person is spent on roads in the state of Michigan. I did some research, and I think it was Minnesota. They spend like $370 something per capita. Illinois spends like $280 something. Michigan, we spend $174. Also, there's been $357 per Michigan resident spent a year, average, on bent rims, blown tires, and this is due to like potholes, problems with the roads, tears your car up. So people are spending money, at least $357 a year a person, on bent rims and blown tires and other car maintenance issues, bent axles, things like that. And like I said right here, Michigan residents spend an additional $7.7 billion in repairs. So that further explains why our car insurance is the highest in the nation. Have it, folks. So no further reason to go on about that. Now, if we look to the right here, it talks about how Michigan's roads are crumbling. Over the past decade, the quality of Michigan's roads has been in steady decline. Michigan spends less per capita on roads and bridges in any other state in the nation. Here's a breakdown of the deterioration of condition of the roads and freeways and most major roads surveyed in the state. So if you look here, it shows in 2004, 2005, and then it takes a major dip from fair down into 2006, and it just continues to decline from there. Now we're going to talk about how harsh winters play an effect. So, lake effect snow. What is lake effect snow, you may ask? Well, if you look down below on this screenshot I have of a typical Michigan winter day, you see lake effect snow. Mainly over West Michigan. You see Grand Rapids, Holland, South Haven, Kalamazoo, Muskegon. All areas that get hammered in the winter compared to the eastern side of the state. And this is due to cold air rushing over the lake, Lake Michigan. Cold air comes over the lake, and the water has warmer water. Therefore, there's condensation that rises in the air when it hits the higher atmosphere levels. The air up there is way colder, so it freezes the moisture and it falls right back down as lake effect snow. And typically, if you've lived in Michigan any amount of time, you know that pretty much it dies out right around the Lansing area. So pretty much Lansing east, you guys do not get hammered near as much as we do on the west side of the state. So that plays an effect in the roads because of the constant freeze and thaw. You see here I have pictures. I'll move myself out the way here a little bit. You see I have pictures of salt trucks putting down their corrosive salts and brines. Obviously they have to do that for the protection of the citizens of the state. But that constant freeze and thaw like that water gets down in the cracks in the roads and it buckles it, causing potholes, which I'm going to talk more about later. So I propose that tollways are a solution. So we almost had them at one point in the state of Michigan. So in 1951, the Michigan Turnpike Authority was established. This is during the time when freeways and highways were being built across the nation. So during that time, they wanted to build toll roads on I-94 and I-75. Those were the potential roads. Okay. But in 1956 comes the end of the Michigan Turnpike Authority, and that's due to the fact that there was a 4 cents a gallon federal fuel tax that was implemented, and then 90% of Michigan's interstates got federally funded. So thus it ended all interest in toll roads. So that's why we never had them, because the money all got funded for our roads, so we didn't need them anymore. We didn't need toll roads anymore as a possible solution. But there has since been a revival of interest in toll roads since this time. And this is for several reasons, due to the fact that tolls can do things that fuel and vehicle taxes cannot. So, number one, they raise money without a statewide tax increase. They fairly apply fees to all the classes of users and vehicles. They direct new revenue to high volume roads. So basically, the road that the toll is on, all of the money gets allocated to maintain that road. They release fuel and registration tax revenues for use on other roads, and they reduce congestion through pricing. So what that means is that roads that are highly congested, they can do a toll in the sense of where there's like a HOV lane, because there's many ways you can do tolls. They'll put a lane called like a HOV lanes where you have to have like 2 passengers in your vehicle or more, or something like that. And so when you're driving and you see a road that's backed up, you literally can hop in this other lane, this toll lane, and just whiz past everybody for a nominal fee. But you can whiz past everybody. And what that does is that keeps the traffic moving. And people are willing to pay money to get to work on time and to not have to deal with congestion. And they know that. And so that's a way that they can raise funds for the road. But I want to go back to number one real quick. raise money without statewide tax increases. What that's talking about is, Governor Snyder has implemented this gas tax increase that is supposed to expire in 2021. And so what I'm trying to propose is that once that expires, the toll roads can continue on the funding, because what's going to continue it? After the gas tax expires in 2021, we're just going to keep raising the gas tax and raising registration fees. We already have some of the highest gas taxes in the country, and I don't feel that that is a wise decision to do when there's other more economical ways to raise the money other than to keep raising taxes. So what I'm hoping is that in 2018, a toll road proposal can get on the ballot so that by the time Governor Snyder's gas tax expires, toll roads can then be implemented. So next we're going to talk about the poor materials and how dated Michigan's roads are. So on the left you see highways in Texas. I spent plenty amount of time in my life in Texas due to being in the military. And one of the main things I noticed there is how immaculate and modern their freeways are. So I got two pictures here of some interchanges with these bridges, or flyovers as they're called. These are flyovers, all this. And what it does is it easily helps traffic flow and transition from one road to another without causing a stir in the flow of traffic. We look here, the bottom right, this is US 131, which runs through the heart of Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids' most busy freeway. Now, of course, this picture was probably taken early in the morning at some time. But if you look closely, I can't zoom in. I don't have the ability to zoom in, but you can see the patchwork. This is the concrete that's been the same concrete since the 1960s. You can see the patchwork here, and just the babying that they've been doing over the last 30, 40 years for this concrete. Okay, and now up in the upper right corner, we have this M6 South Beltline debacle. So M6 is a highway that was built from I-196 to connect to I-96 on the south side of Grand Rapids. It's basically a cut through so that people who live like in the Holland area can cut past Grand Rapids if they're on their way to Lansing or Detroit. Now this freeway was started in the late 90s, right around the time I graduated high school. And it actually runs behind my high school. And so MDOT, of course, went with the lowest bidder again. And in doing so, this contractor for this 3-mile section of freeway was using a mix of concrete at the time that was kind of new. And so there actually ended up being a problem with the chemical mix. And so that's why a concrete highway that's supposed to last 20 to 30 years lasted 7, not even 7 years. Basically, the warranty ran out with this contractor after 7 years. So then they were no longer responsible for maintaining the road. So MDOT's just been patching every 15 feet this road ever since the warranty ran out. So it's caused pretty much an uproar in the Grand Rapids area. There's been news stories done on it. I've driven on it. It's horrible. So what ended up happening is the state had to gather $50 million to repair this 3-mile section of road, but there's also a section of road on US 131 north of Grand Rapids that has the same concrete mix problem. So between the two roads, $50 million is going to be spent that otherwise could have went somewhere else. So these are just examples to showcase why there's a problem in the state of Michigan. And so I feel that something has to be done to continue the funding after the gas tax runs out. So this is why I propose toll roads. Hope you enjoyed my presentation, and hope you all have a great day. Hopefully we can get this done.